Hey. Thanks again for pressing play and welcome once again to another edition of the Suns Jam Session Podcast, the original OG post-game podcast of the Phoenix Suns, where there's no games now. So this is kind of a lost space for us. We're navigating, not knowing what to do and when to go live and how. Normally it's just like, there's a Suns game and afterwards the Suns Jam Session is going to be going live. Well, it's the mid to end part of July, and this is where you're going to catch us once a week. So every Monday, 9 p.m. Arizona time, the Suns Jam Session will go live at that time just to talk about goings-ons relative to the Phoenix Suns and just the world in general. We've really hit that slow part, post-free agency, post the draft, post the trades, post Malone, all that stuff. It's now kind of in the rear view, and now we're just kind of like wading in water, like just staying afloat. I'd like to be in water right now. It's hot as hell here in Phoenix. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to sit here. We're going to talk about different things around the Phoenix Suns. If there's any new stories, we'll bring them up. And I'm going to bring up Matthew Lissy, Bare Bones Lissy. How's it?
Bare Bones, nothing behind me, right?
Yeah.
I'm floating around here. Where am I right now?
It's like Interstellar, man. You're just
always
there.
In a different spot, right? It's not very exciting right now. Phoenix Suns fans out there, but I think we're excited about the season coming up, but we got to wait. Right now outside, it's kind of like football weather, right? When it gets kind of like cloudy out there, you can see the storms are coming. I'm excited about football right now. I'm not going to lie. I have Sun stuff on, but I can't wait for football.
Have you watched the Netflix series called Quarterback?
No.
If you want to start,
do they have like the series, like they do quarterback and then do like tailback or something like that?
I don't know. That's a good question. No, it's produced by Peyton Manning on Netflix, and it follows Marcus Mariota, Kirk Cousins, and Patrick Mahomes through last season. Now, obviously, Patrick Mahomes wins MVP, wins the Super Bowl, but it was just, I'm with you. I started watching it, and I was just like, ooh, I'm starting to get a little excited.
It's the weather for me, man. It's the weather for me. I can already taste those corn chips. Salsa. What do you make the jalapeno popper things? Oh, yes. I can't wait, man.
Oh, and those little cream cheese pepperoni bites.
Yes. The best, man.
But we're still like a month and 2.5 weeks from that. I mean, that's just what it is. We've hit this dead spot of the season, the dog days of the summer, as people like to refer to them. But you know what? There's still things to talk about, whether they're Phoenix Suns related or football related or just life related. And that's what we're going to do on this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. So we thank any and all who are tuning in to watch us live or later. And if you're listening to the podcast, we appreciate you as well. Make sure you give us a 5-star review wherever you're consuming this podcast. Thumbs up if you're on the YouTube. I do want to give a shout out to Fumar El Oso on Apple Podcasts. 5-star review. Keepin' Suns Shine is the name of Fumar El Oso's review. John and Matthew, keep the Phoenix Suns revolving around Jam Session. Love Summer League postgame. Thank you. I'm glad somebody liked the Summer League postgame. It's the last time I felt normal. And even then, it was just
thank you. I think I was there for 1.01 of them.
You showed up in the closet. It's like, this is Matthew from a closet on mute. And back to your originally scheduled podcast. So
Lissy's in the closet. Spoiler alert. Coming out of the closet. Wait till the end of the pod. Well, I already spoiled it.
Dang it. It's over. Well, we'll have to try it all over again. Well, Jamsters, we hope you're having a good time. Crack them if you got them. I'm going to just be drinking water.
You got a migraine, huh?
Yeah, I had a migraine last night. I pulled a Lissy, if you will. I'm glad we didn't have to do a podcast. Got one of those migraines, blinding migraine. Couldn't sleep. Like, felt like a nail was like right behind my eye for like 8 hours. It was not fun. I'm like, maybe I'm a little dehydrated. So I'm going to be drinking some water. Matthew, let me guess. Now you're drinking beer.
Nope. Water. Oh, water, baby.
Well, crack them if you got them, Suns fans. Spark them and light them if you want to as well. And let's drop the beat. It's been a busy summer for the Phoenix Suns as they've entered postseason or offseason 2023-2024. hotter than 27 consecutive days over 110 or whatever the fuck the record's at right now here in Phoenix as we slowly melt away, and it gives us migraines. But now we've kind of slowed down to a halt. And outside of a few stories here and there, a few comments, I saw one today that the Suns are still interested in potentially trading for TJ McConnell.
Yeah.
I think that the Suns roster is set. Is that what you're feeling, Matthew?
Oh yeah, I'm 100% confident in it. After the campaign trade, and we got Saban Lee and Eric Gordon to back up, the point guard position or the guard position. I'm very happy with where the Suns are at. The Bol Bol was kind of a nice little like cherry on the sundae, kind of like a guy. It's like a lot of potential there. Fan bases get excited, but it's just like, garbage minutes kind of guy that can maybe play himself into a rotation that, if there's injuries, he can just play himself in a rotation by having good minutes out there. I just think this team is set. I'm done. I'm done with it. I think you are too, obviously. And the Suns did a hell of a job, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's an AA plus for the way that they navigated, knowing what we knew prior to free agency beginning. We traded for Bradley Beal, and we talked on this podcast about that, how as much of an impact that Bradley Beal could bring to this team and the talent that he brings, what he does to this team financially was something that just didn't make sense. I mean, I was utilizing a so says Jay word when I was saying that it was irresponsible of the Suns to roster three $30 million players. And they said, fuck your responsibility. We're going for 4 here. And in doing so, they've created a very interesting looking cap sheet. If you look at the cap sheet for the Phoenix Suns, you have 4 guys who are over $40 million, or I'm sorry, $30 million. You end up having Kevin Durant, who's going to make 47 mil this year, Bradley Beal, 46 mil, Devin Booker, 36, Deandre Ayton, 32. And then the rest of the lineup is a bunch of veteran minimum guys. Eric Gordon's at 3.1, Okogie 2.8, Damian Lee 2.5, Keita Bates-Diop 2.3, Drew Eubanks 2.3, Chimezie Metu 2, Yuta Watanabe 2, Bol Bol 2, and then they have some non-guaranteed contracts in Jordan Goodwin, Ish Wainwright, and then Tumani Kamara is your draft pick. So it's unbelievably top heavy. But even that being said, as so says Jay says in the chat, it's been beautifully irresponsible by the Phoenix Suns because it's all worked out. They've met all their expectations and needs. They've put together a team that I think we're in the process of trying to determine whether or not this is the most exciting and highly anticipated season in Phoenix Suns history. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, and they kind of went the opposite way. The Nuggets won the title. They have Jokic. They did it the right way, the way Giannis would say. A team that just built from the ground up, made a few free agent ads, and they hit the ground running with Jokic, and a team that a lot of people didn't believe in. So you'd think the Suns would kind of stick with that, right? Kind of play it out with Booker, and then the trade happened with Kevin Durant. Then all of a sudden it's the offseason. Now we get Bradley Beal. And no, we're going to actually get as many, I think it was, what was it? The Ringer top 66 or something, top 75. Mm-hmm. And the Suns had 4 players in the top 66. I think Ayton was 66. Dave King wrote the article on Brightside.
That's correct.
It just shows I think that matched the highest. I forget. I read it earlier. I forgot though. I think it matched the highest of all the teams combined. I think the Nuggets had 4 too. But the Suns right now, they're just we're going to go in the opposite direction. We're going back to having the 3-headed monster. Now we have 2 guards, and who knows who's really going to have the ball. They're playing point Book. I know you had the podcast about that before, or point Beal, but we'll figure it out. We're going to pay these guys, and we're going to actually have some guys that are superstars in a way. I guess Beal's not really a superstar yet, but just guys that are big names, and then fill the roster in a way where everyone's be like, wow, how the hell did they do that? They got guys on these contracts that are just very minimal, and they're also just guys that have a lot to prove. And that's perfect for this team that wants to win a championship. The guys that are on the bench are going to come in and fill a lot of holes with that offense. But right now we just have the best top 4 guys. And I think we're going to talk about Ayton later, but with Ayton being the 4th guy, who knows? Now we believe in him. Now we actually are excited to root for the dude. He might prove us wrong, and he might come back and be maybe the top 2, the second best player on the team. Who knows?
Yeah, the Suns have changed the narrative, if you will, using Ayton's own words, which we're going to reference here momentarily, but they've changed the narrative on how to construct a roster, especially with the new CBA. is they've thrown all caution to the wind. They said we're going to be unbelievably top heavy, and the way that we're going to operate is we're going to bring in players, as you mentioned, who are hungry. At the same time, they're going to meet the needs of the team. They're going to be wings. They're going to be a couple veteran minimum guys who are truly veterans who are seeking out that championship in players like Eric Gordon. And ultimately, we're going to see how it all plays out. Now, there's a piece that I put together for Bright Side of the Sun. If you don't read Bright Side of the Sun, learn to read and then go there. And one of the questions that I had is I put together essentially 4 different eras and said, hey, let's try to figure out which season is the most highly anticipated season in the history of the franchise. And you take those 4 different eras, and then there's little polls on there, and then whichever one wins is going to go against the final 4, if you will. And the final 4 ends up being, if you look at the first era, which is, the Dave King was around era, 1976-77 won that one with 37% of the vote. And that's the year after the Suns went to the NBA Finals for the first time. The fan base was unbelievably engaged and excited that after their first winning season, they ended up in the finals, and baseball fever was at an all-time high in Phoenix up to that point. The Barkley era, obviously 1992, 1993 won with 61% of the vote. Leading into that season, new team, new arena, new uniforms, Charles Barkley. I mean, it's hard to top that one. The 7 seconds or less era, winning with 47%, was 06-07, which was 2 years removed from when they kind of shocked the NBA with their style of play. And then if you look at the Booker era, this upcoming season, 23-24 is 72% of the vote is the preseason excitement. Obviously, we're living in the now, but that's kind of where we're at now. We're going to have an article that comes out on Wednesday where you can vote on each, which one of those 4 seasons is the most highly anticipated season. But I'll ask you this, Matthew, of those 4 seasons that I mentioned, 1976-77, 1992-1993, 2006 into 7, and this upcoming one, which, if you were to vote, would you cast your vote for the most highly anticipated season for the Phoenix Suns?
06-07, I think just for me, I think just being in the moment and just like realizing like something special is here in Phoenix. It brings back a lot of good memories. I think this was just so unexpected right now, but there's just a lot of movement. I think back then we had Sean Marion, we had the big 3 that we had. I mean, they weren't bigger than the San Antonio's big 3, but they were pretty decent, and no one believed in them either. But at the time, it was like we have 3 guys, and there was movement around them, but we just were stable. We had Steve Nash as a leader. We had him as a leader, and Booker, he's our leader here too right now, and he's a guy that is never going to go anywhere. That was the way it was with Steve Nash, but he also had Amari Stoudemire, man. Like in the draft, coming out of the draft, you knew the guy was special, but he blossomed into something that was just amazing on the court, and you just had to tune in every night, whether you're a Suns fan or not. That offense was just ridiculously fun to watch, whether you're a Suns fan or not, but also just the coach, everything was just so different. The style, that was exciting. So I would have to go with that one for sure.
Yeah, it's a tough question. I kind of feel like this upcoming season has a specialness to it, but 06-07, I mean, that was, you're 100% right. For different reasons, it was, hey, we're an established team. We've had some hard luck. Look at us now. Now we've had a time to develop chemistry, but still we had to slay the San Antonio Spurs, which we never really could. 92-93 was something different, obviously, for Phoenix. So, and I wasn't around for 76-77. So, I mean, if I was to vote, it'd be either this season or 92-93. So I'm excited to see how the Jamsters and the Brightsiders vote on that one. But again, you talk about changing the narrative and how the Phoenix Suns, you look at those teams of the past, and the Phoenix Suns are completely flipping the NBA on its head with their acquisitions, with Eric Gordon. And, you haven't really voiced your opinion on Bol Bol. So for the first time with you present, let's drop the Bol Bol drop and talk some Bol Bol.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's
Bol Bol, motherfucker. Bol Bol, motherfucker.
I did see that before, and I love it. Yeah, Bol Bol's, like I said before, he's exciting. I think every fan base that gets him, I'll reiterate, that they get excited about him, the potential they have, but with a guy that's that big, that can play make, that long too, and just how many minutes is he going to get eventually? Maybe he'll fill a role. But it's a fun guy to have on the team that can be a fan favorite in a way, but also he can just maybe end up filling a role off the bench that can have some potential. It's a guy you don't really want to give up on. I think that a lot of people were just kind of like, if we get him, we get him. It's not a big deal. But it just seemed like a fun ad. I think this team right now are filled with a lot of serious like guys on the team that are just itching at a chance to prove themselves, like I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
And to have a guy like this that still wants to prove himself, but you just don't know what you're going to get, and there is a little bit of potential there, and see what the coaching staff here in Phoenix can do for him, that's exciting to me, just to root for that. Just on a separate note, it's like everyone, this is a championship contending team, but just to have that extra guy that is going to be the fan favorite, that is awesome to look forward to. And I wasn't too excited when we got him. I was like, let's just see what we got. I think it's going to be fun to be at the games and just see him on the bench, be like, put in Bol Bol. Like that's what every fan base does whenever they have him on their team. So that's going to be us now. So it's going to be exciting times here, I think, with him.
Yeah, he's definitely like a Suns Facebook MVP already. I mean, they get Bol Bol. They see 7'2" as a 7'8" wingspan. Like, this guy was born to play NBA basketball. And like, unfortunately for Bol Bol, he was born to play NBA basketball. And I don't know if he really wants to. Like, he's kind of forced to. His dad is Manute Bol, obviously, who growing up, seeing the 7'7" Manute Bol play for 10 years in the NBA was something special. And his son grew up to be 7'2", and he plays basketball not because he wants to, but because he's tall and he's good at it. And I think that there's some of those effort questions come to mind for the serious fan and for the adept Phoenix Suns fan. Yeah, I agree. It's a good ad when you're looking at the back end of your roster and you're looking for the guy who can come in and make a couple plays and get you all excited and give you the feels. But I think in the long term, he's not somebody who, I saw somebody today, he's like, Bol Bol, could he be the fifth NBA or the fifth starter for the Suns? It's like, get real, dude. Like, this guy, unfortunately, he's kind of like the anti-Hannah Montana. He's the worst of both worlds because he's somebody who is too thin to guard bigs and he's too slow to guard wings. So he's kind of stuck in the middle, especially if you look at him on defense. I mean, if you look at the advanced metrics, for example, B-ball index, they have him in the 34th percentile, which is a D+ on rim deterrence. He's in the 39th percentile in rim protection. If you look at his perimeter defense, he's 17th percentile, which is an F in passing lane defense. He's ball screen navigation on defense, 4th percentile. That's an F. He's the worst on-ball perimeter defender in the league. Those aren't things that are going to garner playing time for him. I like what Blaze Megatron in the chat says. He goes, you can have all those length metrics, and you're good for reaching. All you're good for is reaching high shelves. And much like Taco, he's gonna be a human victory cigar only, and that's what he's gonna end up being. And don't get me wrong, like I'm excited because there could be potential for opportunity here. I think being around these kind of players might spark his basketball interest. But I mean, he was around Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray in Denver, and that didn't do much either. So as much as people are excited to see him come here, I'm just gonna, I agree with a lot of what the Jamsters are saying in the chat. Low Suns, meh, pickup, and I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, and Ken Kaplan does say Bol Bol another head case. Yeah, and maybe Ken, you're referencing to Ayton being a head case. Maybe I don't know if that's another one that we have, but that's for different reasons. I think Bol Bol, like you said, he's sitting there. He's like, I have to sit here. Look at how tall I am. Look at who my dad was, and now I'm in the NBA, and I'm doing my best, but kind of uncoordinated in a way. He's going to be arrhythmic in the actual offense. Like, there's going to be nothing there that you can really build on right away. It's just, like we said, it's just a fun thing. It doesn't mean anything. Before we got him, our team was good. We have, and he might not even be on the team midway through the season. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't going to be the same team through the midway of the season before the trade deadline. I bet you there's going to be movement. There might be a piece, there might be an injury. Who knows? And he might just be gone. So I think looking from it, from our standpoint, it's just go to the games and just be like, oh my God, dude, look at that dude. Let's just see him, see what he can do. That's the fun part about it.
Do you think at any time during this season, we're going to sit and be like, dude, Bol needs more playing time because he came in a couple garbage games and, a behind the back in transition dribble to a cutting Drew Eubanks. I don't know. Like, is that going to happen? No. It's like the Aaron Holiday thing, right? Like, there's no world in which Aaron Holiday should have had any playoff minutes. Yet that's what people were talking about in the postseason. Like, dude, it's got to be Aaron Holiday. Landry Shamet sucks, so let's put in the guy who's 5'9".
Yeah, the only thing I thought of when you brought that up is, the way Monty was, where he would just play the starters into like the 2 or 3 minute mark when you should have pulled them out. When, we're up by 20 points, pull those guys out. That's when we'll be like, we need some Bol Bol minutes. We need him in there. Just, the garbage minutes. That's what we need. That's when we're going to be calling from. That's all I can think of.
Yeah, I can see it now. I can see him come in, and the Suns are up 20 or down 20, and he hits a 3-pointer in transition, and he has one of those good plays where he's playing against the third team defense.
Yeah.
And he goes to the hoop, and because he's so long, he's like dunking it, from 6 feet out, and Suns Facebook will just go crazy for that shit. They're like, Bol Bol should be our starter. It's like, listen, he has that issue where due to his size, like look at last season, for example. Last season's a great example. It's the first season in which he actually had meaningful playing time with an organization. Know that in the 305 games he could have appeared in thus far in his career, he's only played in 123.
Oh,
okay. He's had a lot of foot injuries, and that's kind of the death toll for big men in the NBAs. If you have foot injuries, I mean, look at Bill Walton. Could have been a lot greater, but he had the foot injury. Right. Yao Ming's career was cut short. Why? Because of a foot injury. So he's somebody who has health issues. He finally has an opportunity to play last year. And unfortunately for him, he plays in 70 games. He starts off, a lot of the Orlando Magic were injured. Jalen Suggs was injured. I think out of the first 37 games, he missed like 28 of them. You had Markelle Fultz was hurt. Cole Anthony was hurt. So they were just throwing guys out there. Manute Bol was one of those guys who were they're thrown out there, and he was playing okay, turning the ball over a lot. But as time progressed with him getting some playing time, obviously opposing teams put scouting reports against him, and they just started overpowering him on offense. I mean, the things that you see, you go on YouTube and you see the 9-minute highlight, and the 9 minutes that you see, it looks like it's the best basketball player you've ever seen. But what you're not seeing is the other 1,500 minutes that he played last season, and he was out of place defensively. He was disengaged on defense. He was getting pushed around on offense, was forcing bad shots because he couldn't get to his spots because the defenders knew how to play him. He's a 29% 3-point shooter in his entire career. I love somebody the other day was like, yeah, well, he's like a 52% 3-point shooter when he played it in college. I'm like, yeah, dude, he played 9 games and shot it 25 times. Like, come on now.
Yeah, and that's the thing is we talk about a lot of these guys that are bigs, they needing more time and just having, just the opportunity to show themselves, but also just be on the court and just earning their minutes by their play and just becoming, I don't know. I think that with him, I'm trying to think like, does he just need more minutes and can he get better? You know what I mean? Just to learn from on the court mistakes, but I just don't think so.
Especially with this team.
Yeah, I think it is what it is. And, someone said in the chat, he's our 12th man. Definitely. I think
yes.
I think that's what we're looking at here. I'm not looking to evaluate him and be like, give him more minutes because we're going to be winning games. This team's going to play hard. I think the way Ayton comes back, he's going to want to play a little bit harder than he did last year. You know what I mean? Like, I think this team's going to be focused early on the season, get to top of the standings, and then you'll see more of him. I think he will at that time, but it's going to be too little too late to really kind of be like, all right, can he work himself into a playoff rotation? No, I don't see that. I mean, it'd be awesome. Yeah, I love absolutely. Every guy we have on this roster. I'm going to root the hell out of them for them. But it's just like, to be realistic, it's just something I'm not picturing me even talking about on the pod. I know Facebook, Suns Facebook for sure, but I'm not going to be like, hey, could I get this guy on the court more? No.
I just think that we'll see some very fun, exciting plays from him this season. Yeah. And we need to understand and recognize that that's what those are. He's somebody that we hope brings the attitude and brings the effort that he's lacked thus far in his career. Even he's admitted when he left Denver that he could have worked a lot harder, is a quote that he said in the Denver Post.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And again, like we've seen this story before, right? And which brings me to
Watch.
So obviously one of the big stories this past week, Deandre Ayton in the Bahamas promoting his new shoe. What do you think his new shoes, by the way? Those new Pumas. Those look fucking sick.
I actually didn't see him. I saw the interview. I didn't see the shoes.
Oh man, the shoes look nice. But
Are they
he's
very
in,
colorful? I'll just
yeah, they
up,
look like the
but yeah.
Bohemian flag. Yeah, they're cool looking, man. They
Cool.
got the green, they got the blue, they got the yellow, they got the colors and such. They look great. But one of the things that he stated in an interview is he can feel the whole world hating on him and how he wants to change the narrative and unlock whatever that is. And for those of you who haven't seen the interview, don't worry.
I can feel the whole world hating me in a way where I think I'm the guy a lot of people point at, and I see it and feel it. But mainly what I've been working on 5 to 6 days a week since we've lost is just motivating myself to change the narrative of what people think about me. You know? Because no matter how you put it, I feel like I have no fans out here, you know, and I could feel it because the whole world's saying it. And my goal this whole summer is to change the narrative, just unlock whatever it is, and just completely just focus on me and change the whole thing.
What do you think about those statements by Deandre Ayton?
You know, yeah, okay, so I think the way he's going about it, and here we go. Like, I feel like in the comments, I'm gonna be like, oh, here you go. You're trying to like tell him what to do and expect different things. I really think he just needs to do it for himself. Stop worrying about it's not the world. We're not a soccer team. No one else gives a fuck about the Suns, but Suns fans and some of the NBA fans. But Deandre Ayton wasn't a hot commodity really in the offseason for a trade. Even last year, no one would pick him up, right? The Celtics were the only. I even heard a guy like I said, at my work wanting Deandre Ayton.
Mm-hmm.
There are fans of yours. We're all fans of yours, dude. We expect a lot, but you have to do it for yourself. Okay, so if you work hard this season, you put in the work, like you said, 6 days. If you actually do that and you live up to your words where you're not lying anymore about what you can be and what you're going to do, then you'll feel much better about everything to yourself. Don't worry about us. You go out there and prove it to yourself that you can do it, then you can do it. A little David Goggins here, right here. I don't know if you know who he is. A little motivation.
Wow.
Like there's a governor on a car, right? You can't go at a certain mile per hour. You can't go 135. There's like 90. It's cut off there. He believes that it's the same with our brain. 40% we can only use that we know, but you can actually go further. You got to push yourself. Right now, I think Ayton, he's kind of hit that, but he needs to push himself. There's so much more there. But I'm telling you, man, he's not going to be happy to prove everybody wrong in the end. He'll be happy if he did it for himself and his family.
Well said.
The love is his family. Just do that, man. Don't worry about everybody else because it's not the world, man. It's Suns fans. We will root for you if we see that you're working hard. That's all there is to it, I feel like.
I very well said, and I agree with a lot of that. Do it for yourself. Don't do it for us. And maybe that's his way of finding his motivation, right? Michael Jordan always had to have an edge. He would make up edges against opposing players just to get himself into that mindset to eviscerate you on the basketball court. And perhaps that is some of what Deandre Ayton is doing right now is he's taking a lot of the words that he's seen on social media and utilizing it as fuel to his fire to try to, as he said, change the narrative of how people perceive him in the NBA. But I'm with you as well. I think that Suns fans, we will always respect the effort, and that's obviously been one of the knocks on DA is there's times where he takes plays off or he's mispositioned and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And part of that is it's tough. You have to see it from multiple angles. There's no black and white when it comes to this situation because you go back and obviously the comments that John Gambadoro said on the Hoops Hype podcast relative to Monty Williams wanting DA gone and didn't like DA or Jay Crowder. And that's why Jay Crowder, held out and wanted to be gone, so it's hard to, even as a multi-million-dollar player who has a maximum contract, to go out there and try to give it your all for somebody who you feel is actively rooting for you to fail. And I can understand and empathize with what Deandre Ayton's going through. The other thing that you have to understand is DA, who turned 25 yesterday, is a 25-year-old, and he's trying to understand what's the why. Why are people not, as he perceives it, fans of the way that he approaches the game? And part of me is like, well, okay, well, that's you can't see the forest for the trees kind of thing, where it's like, well, it's the effort, but also in his perception, my assumption is he's like, but we've been winning ball games. Like the team has a 55% winning percentage since he joined the team and in games that he's played. So I think that that's valuable. He's like, well, we're winning just because he's not dominating the way that we think he should. You know, we wanted David Robinson 2.0. We got Deandre Ayton 1.0.
Yeah.
I think that it's something that he's trying to come to terms with, right?
Yeah, I think so too. And sorry, where did right here, Creepy Crawler, do you think he's full of shit or he's making changes?
That's the question.
That's the question. To me, honestly, the way I feel about it, someone did say stop pouting, Hey.0 did. I did feel a little bit of that, but like you said, he's 25, right?
Mhm.
And he has to grow. That's why I think when he looks back in his first 5 years in Phoenix, if he can go into the season, just work hard and just make sure that he does it for himself, but also just pays attention and just works hard for others and just does what is right. It puts in the work and doesn't say like, hey, I'm working out for 5 or 6 days a week. Like just do it, man. Just, it's as simple as that, but it's very difficult because his mindset right now is like, I've been doing good enough and he doesn't know his potential yet. So once he gets there, then he'll be like, wow, I had it the whole time. And yeah, so says Jay, no, do it for us. That's
Don't do it for me. No,
actually,
no.
Yeah, just do it for us.
So says Jay in the chat. No. Do it for us instead of do it for yourself. Yeah, I think, again, the challenge before him and the challenge that we're going to have with him attempting to change the narrative is we've seen this before. We've seen these candid conversations and this introspective point of view that he tends to share with us. And the talk doesn't become the walk. And that's been the challenge. Now, granted, we're entering a season in which he's going to be the 4th best option on the team offensively. He's going to have so much opportunity to focus on being a great defensive player. And we're going to be analyzing that. He has so much opportunity to be the garbage man down low while his buddies are out there just shooting mid-range jumpers. And we're going to be watching that. We're going to be watching his effort on both the offensive and defensive glass. And the opportunity is there for him. And I don't know another number 1 pick who's been gifted a roster around him like he has, where he's had a future Hall of Fame point guard play with him for 3 years. He's had quite possibly the best Phoenix Sun in the history of the franchise play with him. Kevin Durant, future unique, one of a kind player with him. And now Bradley Beal, who is a 3-time All-Star and somebody who scored 30 points a game around him. He's had the luxury of having and is going to have unbelievable talent around him. And again, that's why this isn't just a black and white argument. You could say the other side of that is like, well, he could be the guy who demands the ball. He could be the guy who says who's the complete alpha and says, I want to be trade me now. I want to go someplace where I can personally statistically flourish. But he's okay not being the alpha, but he has to perform as such.
Yeah, and I'll say something right now. And, due to like Kevin Durant's injuries last year and the way he didn't look the same in the playoffs, I'll base it off of this. What I'm about to say is based off of that. What I'm about to say here is if we're going to win, I think DA still needs to be our 2nd best player.
He needs to be like the Twitter X factor or whatever they call it. X gonna give it to you, whatever they're calling Twitter now.
I haven't been on there in a while, so I don't know. But
they changed the name of it, Matthew. Since you've been Twitter? On it last, like he changed it to X, and like if you go to the desktop version, the logo is an X.
He's just having fun with it. He's just sitting there laughing at everybody.
Elon Musk is
he loves it, man.
He's a nut.
I know. So says Jay likes Elon Musk. I know he's a big fan, right?
Yeah, I think he follows him and everything. Not just on Twitter, but like around
in real life.
He's his lawyer.
I had no idea. Yeah, I think, dude. So I think he has to be. Kevin Durant's going to be amazing. I think, but I think that's just the way I am with DA. I'll put money on him again to be Finals MVP because I really think we need him to be that good to win it. I know we have the players. We have Bradley Beal. Hasn't proved anything yet on a winning team. I know he's phenomenal. He'll probably do great. But right now, I'm thinking that DA needs to be the 2nd best player on that team next to Book.
So says Jay. I'm hanging with E right now.
Oh yeah,
we're all about to exit Twitter because it's gonna get real crazy real quick. No, I don't know if we need him to be the 2nd best player, but I want him to play like he wants to be the 2nd best player. That's the key.
Maybe that's a better way to put it.
That's the key.
Yeah,
he needs to have that in his mind. He's like, fuck Bradley Beal, fuck Devin Booker,
Or be the best.
fuck Kevin Durant. I'm going to be
Why
the
do you
best
have to
player
be
on
the
this
fourth?
team. Exactly.
But
That's the mentality thing.
Order.
That's the
Yeah.
issue. That's why, for those of you who sit back and you look at Deandre Ayton and you see the talent and you see the 18-10 production that he had last year and his field goal percentage, and you go, why does everybody dog him? I just don't get it. It's his mental. It's the way he approaches the game mentally. When you're on a team with Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and you have and Kevin Durant, and it's these guys who just desire to be the greatest in every way, shape, and form, and give it their all, and then back it up with their performance. Then you have DeAndre Ayton sitting on the side, just being like, "Yeah, I don't know." It creates an opportunity for criticism to occur. And I go back to what he said. He's like, "I feel like I have no fans." It's like, no, we are your fans, but fans are going to be critical. Good and bad. I mean, that's just,
he just doesn't get it yet. He doesn't understand it yet. And that's maybe why Monty was so frustrated with him, because he just doesn't. When you put out comments like that, you don't understand. It's stop pouting about it, dude.
And
We're
and
here
it's,
for you.
it's
Trust
like
me.
so says Jay says in the chat, and this is probably how we can end this statement. And if Family of the Flames ever puts out a podcast, he might say this on his. The biggest change is going to not be having Monty. And that's, again, another reason why we're going to sit around and we're going to wait. We're going to really wait and see what DA has, because as Psycho Hawk 2000 says, Vogel has even said that DA didn't feel like he understood his role in the offense with Monty. Now, I don't know where that's quoted from, but if that's even remotely true, I can see that, because we saw it on multiple times.
Sports Illustrated for kids. I think that's
Really?
what it
The
was.
coloring book and everything? You had to like color DA,
Yes.
new uniforms and such. Speaking of new uniforms, have you seen any of the so they had the season ticket holders event. I want to say it was today. It was yesterday or today. And that's when they unveiled the new uniforms. And Suns Unitracker put in like his final guess. You're so enjoying your summer.
Dude, no.
So
not,
these,
but also what?
So what do you think of these? Now, they didn't let anybody have phones or anything, so no one could take a picture of them. They should be unveiled in the new threads by next week. But this is kind of the last prediction by Suns Unitracker. If these were the new uniforms for the Phoenix Suns, Matthew, and I'm sorry for everyone who's listening, go follow at Suns Unitracker on X or Twitter, or fucking X gonna give it to you, and you can see. But if these were the final mock-ups, what would you think?
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't like Twitter as much. I know I got to be on there. I'm sorry, I do miss out on a lot, but I'm not excited. I like those other ones. Remember when we went through 3 of them about a month ago, and I was on the pod last, and you were like, the last ones, those are bomb. Those are fucking just amazing. These would they'd be cool, but they'd kind of be a letdown. I'm not gonna lie.
So were you talking about the ones in which the Suns word mark was above them like that?
Yes. See, I love those. And even if you put Phoenix on the purple, I think it'd be fantastic. Man.
See, I actually really, really like these. I know
like
that
these ones?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I really do. I just think that they're sleek, they're modern, they're unique to Phoenix. They pop to me. Here's some money, Phoenix. I'll pay for these. These are beautiful jerseys, in my opinion.
Okay. Maybe they'll warm up to me. Or I'll warm up to them.
Well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as always. We have to see them, cuddle with them, get to know them, blow in their ear. We have to see them on the players. But I think they're definitely a step in the right direction and away from what we've had. They're better. I mean, look at that home jersey. You can't tell me that home jersey is not better than what wrong one. That's not better than we currently have. I fucking hate what we currently have.
I just don't like the Suns white on the sunburst. I don't like that.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't. Maybe if it was a different color.
No, see, I like it because it pops. It pops against the orange and the purple. That's just me. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's all subjective. Yeah. But that being said, you're wrong. Let's see here. Josh Okogie. I don't know if did you see the highlight of Josh Okogie playing in the
program?
the AEBL?
A little quiet in the third quarter, Josh. He's gonna be like, oh my gosh, oh my,
Josh Okogie with a step back 3-pointer, taking a guy off the dribble. Now, granted, he's playing against amateurs. Like whenever you see these things, the AEBL is the Atlanta Entertainment Basketball League. It's a pro-am that they put on during the summer. They're trying to raise money and whatnot. Go check them out on Instagram or something. I don't know, something Matthew does go on. What's the number one app that you open the most on your phone? Like
Dude,
email?
I'll be honest right now. I'm kind of done with social. I'm done with all of that. I have been for a little bit. I don't like it anymore. I'm barely on YouTube too. I watch like some stuff, but can't say who. I don't want to make anybody mad. Yeah,
Your number one most open app.
Hinge. I'm just joking. Right. Gmail. Amazon.
Gmail. Amazon. There you go.
Bleacher Report. That's it.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
that's just an
But I did
interesting
look
question.
up I got to visit it just for some stuff though. I have to be better at that for sure.
No, it's not about being better or not being better at it. You're slowly missing a part of the world that nobody cares about, burned to the ground. It's great. It's what I always remind people. It's like Twitter's not real, so who cares? Like people get so offended. Do you hear what he said on Twitter? It's like, no, who cares? Like, do you say it to your face in real life? Then fuck them. How about that? But yeah, what do you think about that? Like, if Josh Okogie can develop that kind of step back jumper, could he start in the NBA? I know it's like the dumbest conversation, but it's July 24th.
No, I mean, it's everything I want. It's July, but this would be Christmas for me if I heard that he was actually starting alongside Booker and Beal. I don't care. I want the guy in the starting lineup. I watched a few of the highlights too. He was running the floor. He looked outstanding. I thought there was like a stop and go in the paint where he just like picked up the dribble for a second, but it wasn't a travel and went straight to the rim.
Yeah.
He just, to watch this guy continue to improve, it's just, and be like basically like the standout guy for the pro-am game. It means nothing, obviously, but it's just nice to see him working on his game. And with the step back three, he's been working on his threes because he will listen to what is needed. He's going to improve on the one thing that he needs to be, available. Like he needs to be the guy that's going to be sitting there in the corner hitting threes. So he's going to work on that. The step back, I didn't see that coming. So it's nice to see that's a thing. I don't know if he's going to be doing that next to Booker and Beal, and they're like, hey, can you not fucking do that? Can you just stand there and actually just hit a three? Because he should be over 40% next year. That's all they need. But in the pro-am, it's okay. The coast is clear right there. Out there.
I mean, go for it. Have fun. If you could add that to his game consistently, obviously that's a huge win for the Phoenix Suns. But it comes down to what is that fifth starter ultimately going to need relative to a skill set. Like you said, hitting a corner three, somebody who can play defense. I think that's the biggest thing. And Okogie fills that role. I think between him and Keita Bates-Diop, I think that we're going to have some versatility.
It's fun to think about.
It is. It really is. Eric Gordon being out there for somebody who can be part of a closing lineup. Like there's a lot of, as you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of prove it guys on this team. There's a lot of the Keita Bates-Diops. There's a lot of Chimezie Metu who most likely won't be a starter, but when he comes in, he will give his all. And that's what he's known for, is that high motor. Bol Bol, who is going to try to dunk it from the three-point line, and we'll all be disappointed. I really want people to like temper their expectations with Bol Bol. I saw so much shit.
I thought they have, though. Like the signing wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, see, you weren't on Twitter, so
Okay.
people on Twitter, like Bleacher Report posted a picture of like KD, Beal, Booker, and Bol Bol.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah,
I think that's just for fun, though, right?
No, they're like Bol Bol is going to be like the next thing. It's like I don't know.
Okay.
But I honestly think that with that fifth starter, there's going to be some. I don't think there's a right answer right now, because I think that they're going to play it. They're going to give some people opportunities. And I'm not talking like Monty Williams type of opportunities where it's like you play good for 5 games and he benches you for somebody else. And you're like, well, hold on. That guy was playing good. Like, why'd you bench him? Like, you put somebody in there.
Open the gym.
Yeah.
The gym door. He's like, wait, my key doesn't work.
They changed the code.
Wash my car. Yeah, you got to wash my car now, okay? That's what you're down to.
They changed
Great game, but not good enough.
Yeah, I don't see that with Frank Vogel. I think that he's going to be looking for effort guys, and you have to earn your spot out there by giving the appropriate effort. And I think that people like Okogie and like Keita Bates-Diop, those are guys who can do that. And I think that especially with Okogie, his opportunity is like, hey, I can play bigger than I am on offense. Or I'm sorry, on defense. And on offense, I can hit the corner three, and that's what he needs to work on. It looks like that's what he's working on down there in Atlanta. He's just fucking around, beating up on a bunch of casuals.
Exactly. And his finishing at the rim, don't ever forget that. He was the best at getting to the rim, drawing fouls or just finishing. He even had a reverse lay-in at the program.
You need that guy because he's going to have so much opportunity. Yes. So with the gravity of the top 4 guys, there's so much opportunity. And that's the entire game. It's like you have the top 4 guys, but then like Eric Gordon comes in while Booker's sitting and like while Bill's sitting. And like the Suns are just going to keep coming at you. And if some of these role players can step up and have their best career years, like this team wins a championship running away with it, man.
I think so too.
Oh, that's why it's like I'm torn because I think that this is the most highly anticipated offseason there is. And I think that I'm too close to the sun, if you will. And it feels like I'm close to the sun living here in Phoenix. But I think that that's a reality because I remember 92, 93, and I remember the excitement around that, even though I wasn't living in Phoenix at the time. I was living in LA, but it was just all of a sudden the Suns were relevant. And it was like, I mean, they were winning a ton before that, but all of a sudden they were relevant in like a real way. And it's tough going, to try to sit there and compare apples to oranges. But I like the taste of oranges better.
I was thinking too, it feels like 2 years ago, kind of going into the season where we're excited about it because it feels right. The new uniforms too. I didn't want to win in those old uniforms. They were ugly. I didn't want to play in the finals.
Well, that's why they always wore shit. They always wore the Valley stuff every chance they could.
Arena football, like what it looked like. It was like the ugliest mismatch shit you ever seen. It was like worse than the Cardinals' new stuff. But I didn't want to win in that. Now we got new jerseys. We got the best team in the NBA built roster. It's looking good right now. I'm excited.
It's all lining up, which brings us to childhood trauma.
Childhood trauma.
It's July when we're going to be doing childhood trauma, probably on every podcast, just to talk about our childhoods. So going through some of the suggestions on YouTube. Again, thank you to everyone who's watching along live, spending your Monday night with us here at the Suns Jam Session podcast. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button if you happen to be here now or be watching later. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review and we'll read it right here on the pod. Blaze Megatron. Childhood trauma topic. I got detention for. What'd you get detention for? Did you ever get detention?
I did. Yeah, I used to, and it's real out there. You get detention because I wanted attention. That's what I wanted. I needed something. I think I was in 6th grade, but there was a kindergarten little garden that they made with like carrots and not celery, whatever they were making out there, growing high, nice onions. And tall. Yeah, it was nice. It was in the corner of where we used to play in the playground, and someone dared me to put hot sauce in it, and I think a couple of us did. So we put hot sauce. This sounds terrible now that I'm saying on the kindergartens. Dude,
Jesus!
Oh my God! On the kindergartens.
Did they catch you doing it?
Yes.
The kindergarten garden.
And that's why I got detention. They caught me right away, and I got a few.
Like in the act, or did like people rat you out?
No, it was after the fact. We did it, and someone found it, and people ratted us out. And that's the way it was. We used to be like, oh my God, we used to throw rocks on it because there was like a neighborhood surrounded us. We used to throw rocks over and like hit cars and stuff, and we used to take the top of like the brick wall off and run around and throw it. Like I don't know, we were.
Different times.
Looking for attention for sure.
We're just going to assault each other and damage property and tear out the hearts of the kindergarten garden. Wow, that's impressive. I don't know if I could top that one. I got detention.
Bad, man.
We used to have STAR. I went to Ingleside Middle School. We had STAR. It was Stop, Think, Act, Review. And in 7th grade, I got sent to STAR the one and only time in 7th grade. I got sent a bunch in 8th grade. I forget the reasons why, but I definitely remember the reason why I went to STAR in 7th grade. And that was, we were in class one time, and the teacher was talking about a certain topic, and I raised my hand to comment on it. And I'm like, and I remember the exact phrase I used. I'm like, well, that's just because they have a hard-on for him. They're like, excuse me? And they're like, well, they have a hard-on for him. And they're like, you're going to STAR. I'm like, what'd I do? I didn't realize that I was using like vulgar language. So my dad used to say it, like stuff like that. He's like, I got pulled over by this cop, and he had a hard on for me, meaning like he had it out to get me. Like having a hard on for someone meant out to get me, at least in the vernacular that I was raised. So when I told the teacher that the teacher had a hard on for somebody else, like one of the students, because like we were having some discussion, it was like 7th grade. It was something like plate tectonics or something, and somebody was answering something, and the teacher kept kind of being rude to them. And I was just like, "Why do you have such a hard on for him?" It's like, what do you mean? And they said it's STAR. I had no idea why.
They would have had especially with your reaction, be like, what? Like, how did they not know you didn't know what it meant? But they're like, too late.
I was
Too
like,
late,
listen,
buddy.
I was homeschooled for a couple years. Like I went to a very militaristic private school for a couple
You were
years. Like,
homeschooled?
yeah. I
Oh,
told that to
what
Shannon the other
years?
day too, and she didn't. I guess
I
I never
didn't. I
told you
never
guys
heard
that.
that because I was
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah. It was like back into third, fourth, and fifth
Okay.
before we moved back to
Yeah, I
Arizona.
didn't know that about you, man.
Yeah, I don't remember doing anything. Like my mom and dad sent away for the books that we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
They like there was no structure. Like my dad stayed at home, due to some of his issues, and he was our teacher, but my dad never sat around. My dad didn't wake up till 10 a.m. I'd like sneak into his room and give him coffee and be quiet about it, like Dad, and like hope he didn't like come out swinging. You couldn't make toast in the house. He hated the smell of toast, so we can never eat toast. And so we all like were being homeschooled while we were living in Canoga Park, California. And I don't remember learning shit. I just remember drawing comic books. My brother and I come up with, Robo Kong and the Crimson Crusader and Super John and all these different comic book characters. And like, I guess we tested, and like I didn't do any of the work. I tested and I passed because I had no problems going to school in Arizona when we moved here and I went to public school.
You know what? I think what they teach in the textbooks isn't real anyway, so you didn't miss out on anything. Don't worry.
Well, that's like, luckily for me, my entire life, I'm somebody I'm a really good test taker. Like I can skim stuff.
I had friends like that. I was so envious. I'm like, they wouldn't study at all.
Yeah,
I never saw it.
Yeah, because like I could listen to some of what the teacher was saying and have an idea of what the concept was, and then just kind of bullshit my way through a test, I guess. Because like I was horrible at homework. Oh man, I like never did homework.
No,
I was one of those kids.
When I used to bring home homework, my dad used to like just get so upset no matter what I did, and I would start crying, and it was just a big mess. Like he would just like no, just like erase that, no, erase it better. It was just like, oh my gosh. So I used to hate doing homework too.
It's like, what are you, dumb? Like, I think
Yeah.
so. I don't know. That's why they're testing me, so I can learn if I'm dumb or not. Creepy Crawley in the chat. Did you guys ever bully a kid at school and feel bad about it now? I don't think I was bullied. Like I never did.
I don't know if I was bullied, but I was like, we would always make fun of each other, and people would call me fat or Matthew Sissy or Pissy Lissy Dissy, all that. I don't know if that's bullying or just like giving each other shit, but I called one kid fat, and I felt terrible. I still think about it and who it was, and I felt terrible after, and I never did it again.
Yeah, I don't think I remember getting dead legs and dead arms. Like people walk by and be like, take that void. Like I don't remember ever dishing it out, man. I don't think. I was it might surprise you. I was a really skinny little kid. And so like, there was no bullying from this guy. If I tried to bully anybody, man, they just kick my ass, and that'd be the end of that. Cause I was not a fighter either, man. Yeah. There's like, I got something for you. So I would just sit in the corner of the room and like draw. Cause the other thing is like, I bounced schools all the time. So it's like first and second grade, I was at one school, and then then we left halfway during second grade, and then second to third, maybe it was into fourth. I went to one school, and then I was homeschooled, and then I went to like a school when I got here, and then another. So I mean, like I was always just like in the corner just drawing pictures, and people like, that's pretty cool. Like, will you be my friend?
I'll draw something for you. You're cruising by, and you're just like, yeah, I can just sit here and draw pictures and get through this shit, and just take a test and pass.
That's what I would do. Everyone would sit around like be talking. I'd just be like, I'll just draw. It wasn't until like I joined the military, I was like, oh, hey, I'm loud. So
you're loud?
I'm loud. Yes.
Oh,
yeah. I didn't really realize that until I was in the military. I was just kind of, even in high school, I just kind of hung back. Like everyone's out there, like I went to all the parties and stuff. And I got along cool with everybody, but I always just hung back. I was never really, maybe it was all the weed.
That might be it.
That might be it. I was like, I'm just not going to talk to anybody.
A lot of people through high school, I feel like.
Yeah, it just made me super introverted and not want to talk to anybody. I was like, whatever, man. That's terrible. Take a lap.
Terrible. Take a lap.
And that's it for childhood trauma. Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here, Mr. Lissy?
I think I'm good. I think earlier I said I'm excited for football.
Yeah.
I'm excited for fantasy football. Got that Lou message I'll get my keeper in. No baseball no fantasy baseball, but
you're not missing much. I dropped one of the fantasy baseball leagues. I'm still in the other one, and I forget to set my lineup every week because I just don't give a shit.
I was just like, I'm not going to owe that money at the end.
I'm not going to do it. And like
I won't be able to afford it.
I'm like 6 out of 10 in the league, and I got a good team, but I don't manage it because I just don't give a shit. Like football, I give a shit. Basketball, I clearly give a
I
shit.
haven't watched one baseball team or game, and I heard Ohtani is playing lights out, and he might beat Judge's record in home runs. I'm like, I had no idea that was even happening until 2 days ago.
Yeah, I'm so disconnected with baseball, and it makes me sad a little bit. I mean,
It is kind of sad.
It is. I mean, baseball has always been my sport. It's the one I could play, and I've enjoyed it my whole life. But I feel like the Suns have become all-consuming, and baseball just doesn't excite me the way it used to be. You know, like when I was younger, you could just sit around, have a beer after work, and just watch a baseball game and give a shit. Now it's just like,
It's sad because I saw like a Yankee highlight and I saw like the stands are still full. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
at least like there's a lot. Oh, of course it's the Yankees, right? I mean, they'll never
Yes.
give up. They'll always go to every game.
Now,
but
come playoff time, like I'll be watching, I'll be engaged. And I think that's the other side of this that's really hurt this for me is as a Dodgers fan, we go to the playoffs every year
Mhm.
and we've won one bubble championship. So it's just like the regular season I don't give a shit about at all because it's just like, okay, yeah, we're going to end up in the playoffs like we always do. Let's see how we fuck it up this year, which we always do. So it's just like I know it's a spoil of the riches, if you will, where it's just like, well, my team's so good, you know, but it's just that's how it is. They always the bridesmaid, never the bride or the groom or the ring bearer or the dog.
Are we still live?
Yeah.
We're talking about baseball.
Yeah.
We got
And
a long
football.
summer, man.
We had a long summer. Okay. Well, on that note, Jamsters, remember, we'll be coming to you live the last day of July, the 31st of July, Monday night, next Monday, 9 p.m. Arizona time, updating you on all the goings-ons relative to Phoenix Suns basketball. So until then, make sure you subscribe, rate, review, follow me on the X or on Threads. Are you on Threads yet, Matthew? Do you know what Threads are?
I heard about it, and I think it was Bill Simmons that was talking about how it's just terrible. Maybe it was him or someone else.
It is.
Yeah, it's like kind of just you don't own you can't really
You can't
navigate
follow
what
who you want to
see.
follow.
Yeah, you just kind of they just show you shit. I don't know.
Yeah,
I never
I
even
like
looked at it
I
yet.
follow people, and then I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, now I have to actually actively seek out their profiles just to hear what they
Yeah.
have to say because they're like, check out what Levi's has to say. And you're like, oh, cool. It's all ads. It's just like Instagram is. But check us out
I'm
there.
sorry.
You know, we have a Threads account, Suns Jam on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky. Are you on Blue Sky?
I am.
Are you really?
No.
Oh, you need to be invited, and I have an invite code
Okay.
if you want
I
to
don't know
join
what it is. What is it? A plane? Is it an
no.
airline?
It's
Or
made
what
by
is
the
it?
guy who made Twitter, and it's a lot like Twitter.
Okay.
That's the one. Like I prefer that way over Threads, but like Threads because that's Instagram and Meta behind it, it's going to get the more of the momentum.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever get into social media again. I think I'm kind of done.
Yeah, I don't
Sorry,
blame you.
man.
It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing for you. I'm into that new PS5 I just bought.
I know. You know what? I told you. I'm like, that's a goal of mine to play online with you, but
2K's coming 2 months. Start saving. People
Yeah.
need to start donating in the chat so Matthew can
please,
get a
I
PS5.
know. Speaking of bare bones, I'm not gonna have any money. I'm not gonna pay rent. I'm not gonna pay rent.
Well, where could people follow you if they wanted to follow you?
Oh,
on
at
social
Matthew
media?
Lucy. Yeah, nothing
even
but a tumbleweed there for sure.
Well, on that note, Jamsters, again, thank you to everybody who decided to take a little time out of their day. We appreciate it, and we will see you this time next week.
Go home, love your family.